The Federation has been engaged in bloody slaughter with the Dominion for 3 months. Garrick bruised his head on a bulkhead, and if Jake Sisko wants his articles sent to the Federation, he's going to have to provide a more balanced perspective. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Oh, hello.
We have a very special guest today. We're just going to cut to the chase. Noah AK is joining us.
Yeah.
My triumphant return.
You know him as Rin on Star Trek Discovery or that guy on Twitch. So everybody do yourself a favor and follow him on Twitter, and he will send you all the links you need to know to see him live. My name is Ryan T. Husk. It is a Nog episode. We are joined by Melissa Longo as well.
Hello.
Yeah. Just wave to yourself. Or are you giving us the backhand?
The backhand queen wave.
We need to stay in line. We need to stay in line.
That's an insult in Bajorn. Today we're doing a review of Deep Space Nine Season 6. Huzzah! Season 6, Episode 1, A Time to Stand, written by Ira Steven Behr and Hans Beimler, directed by Alan Craker. This was September 29th, 1997. Wow. How's everybody doing?
In 1997, I was probably doing a lot better, to be honest with you.
That was a good
97?
Yeah.
That was a good year.
Yeah. Why so? How so?
I feel like from, the year of my birth until now, it's just been downhill. So just law of averages, I'm probably doing better at that point.
So the earlier we go back, the better you're doing.
That's my thought, man. That's my thought.
Well, lucky for you, I think this is the low point. And I don't mean that as an insult to us. I mean, after this, it's going to go up.
Oh.
All right. All right. Okay. Yeah. You guys are going to send me back to 1997. I'm going to go buy CDs and download stuff off Napster. It's happening.
I was just literally thinking today, should I just throw away my CDs?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I was thinking that yesterday because I went through some DVDs and I thought
those two.
I was like, yeah, the DVDs, the CDs, all of that stuff. And I'm thinking, at what point am I going to just go ahead and they're not going to be worth money. They're not like collectibles.
Yeah. Am I really going to watch season 5 of Family Guy?
Not on Netflix. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about this episode because otherwise we're going to go down the rabbit hole of CDs, and I've had them for years and they're collecting dust, and I've had to never use them. And I'm sure Cirroc are the same way. This was dedicated at the very beginning of the episode in memory of Brandon Tartikoff. I don't know if any of you know who he was. He was a TV executive for NBC. It seems I don't know much about him. I was hoping, Cirroc, if you know, great. If not, then we salute him.
Yeah, I do know who he is. And while I was doing some research about the origins of Star Trek and how Star Trek kind of got manifested at all, the connection, for example, with Lucille Ball and Desilu Productions. And so there was so much there. And in regards to Deep Space Nine, Brandon Tartikoff is essentially the creator of Deep Space Nine.
Wow.
It was his idea to do another Star Trek show after The Next Generation. And so he collaborated with Michael Piller at the onset of this show and actually came up with the idea of Deep Space Nine with Michael Piller. And as a matter of fact, so just an idea of the kind of shows that are credited to Brandon Tartikoff. He's credited with Hill Street Blues, LA Law, Law and Order, Family Ties, The Cosby Show, Cheers, Seinfeld, The Golden Girls.
Okay.
But Miami Vice, Knight Rider, The A-Team,
Oh my
Saved
gosh.
by the Bell, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Saint Elsewhere.
Wow.
So yeah, those are some of the shows that he's.
At this point, you're just reading the TV Guide channel.
Yeah.
From
Yeah, right.
That's it.
the late
Throw
80s.
MacGyver in there and we're all set.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Some minor shows here and there, you know.
Wow.
yeah. And so then, as a side note, it says, and he was also involved in the creation of Star Trek: Deep Space Nine. So it's like the NAFTA
Excuse
spot
me?
for the
Yeah.
rest of his, at least on Wikipedia. But so yeah, no, Brandon Tartikoff is really the reason why Deep Space Nine exists, along with Michael Piller.
Mhm.
And obviously, if somebody with that resume decides that he wants to do something, it pretty much gets done. So, shout out to Mr. Brandon Tartikoff, because I'm pretty sure he was around for the conception of this. Obviously, he didn't die until the 6th season or thereabouts, in between the 5th and 6th
Right.
season. So he was able to watch the show not only blossom, but I'm sure he was keeping
Whoa,
tabs.
Blossom too?
No, Punky Brewster.
Punky
There
Brewster.
you go.
That's even better. Wow, that is good stuff. Henry.
Yeah.
That's what she always
Yeah.
say.
So he was around to watch the show develop, and that's why he was credited with the title card in the beginning of this episode. Kind of just, I mean, it wouldn't have been here without him. So thanks to him, I had a job for all these years, and so I have to thank him as well as Michael Piller. So thank all of you guys for coming up with a great idea to really break boundaries and not do what everybody else is doing, and take chances as far as investing in a Black Star Trek show. So hats off to them for really going out on a limb and making history there. So thank you, Brandon.
Cool.
Mhm.
That sounds like also a really good question for the free for all. We'll list off all of those titles that Brandon was a part of, and ask everybody what their favorite one out of all those. Let's see how many Knight Riders we get. Well, no, okay, no, we gotta talk about the episode. I was already gonna start talking about Golden Girls. And at least we're not talking about basketball this time, guys. Okay, so
Yeah.
Noah, I don't know. I know you're doing a rewatch right now, right? You're like in the 2nd or 3rd season, right?
Well, so actually, the horrible thing is, Mary and I just started the 5th season.
Oh,
So
no.
we just watched The Ship, and then we got What happened? We would have been right on track, but we got sidetracked and watched 3 seasons of Ink Wars, which is a tattooing reality show that's just so it's just trash. It's just the best trash. But then I was like, oh no, but so I just skipped to the first episode of season 6 for this. But I missed the back half of season 5, or we haven't gotten there yet. So I've got a lot under my belt, but basically missing a lot of the key elements of the foundation for this episode. But you can kind of get it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Angel
but
explains
man,
it at the beginning.
that's some good stuff. You'll definitely have to go back.
Yeah.
Your wife is going to
Yes.
be pissed at us.
She won't know. I haven't told her yet. She doesn't know. I'm gonna watch it for the first time and be like, "Oh yeah, wow,
Wow, this
look
is
at those
exciting."
things. Aren't these cool?"
That happened? That's
No
crazy.
way.
I would have expected that.
Yeah.
You could just start making predictions. Be like,
That's what
I don't know. I
thinking
feel
too,
like
yeah.
Jake's going to stick around. And that's just a feeling I get. It's the writer in me.
Yes, exactly. I'll do that. Yeah. I bet Worf's upset about something.
Well, he's a powder.
He's always upset at something.
This episode had so much comedy in it that's always lost. Like, people think of Deep Space Nine as this dark show, and the Dominion Wars are super dark and heavy, but there's just so much comedy in it. Like, and I love the comedy, like, and it's like straight person comedy. Like when Wei Yun is saying the shops are everything Wei Yun says, basically. Let's just start there. But then he's like, The shops are reopening. The promenade is abuzz with activity once again. The habitat ring echoes with laughter of happy children. And DeMar goes, I've doubled security at patrols throughout the station because they hate the Bajorans. And I couldn't get enough of that dark humor of their hatred for each other and the annoyance with the Bajorans. I don't know. Did you guys like any of that comedy, or am I on my own there? Guess I'm on my own.
Yeah, you're on your own, I think.
I was too busy being pissed off at them to be laughing. I'm like, Cardassians, you're such assholes.
I thought of you when
Scott really goes full asshole in this one.
Yes.
Such a slime ball.
Yeah.
Actually, the sexual. There was a sexual harassment claim somewhere in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like every time I do a Star Trek episode recap, there's always a sexual harassment claim in every one. I'm like, God damn it. Why is it?
Yeah.
Somebody's getting impregnated or someone's invading their mind.
Yeah. We have to update our guidelines. I think DS9 has the old guidelines. We really have to update it. But yeah, he's Ducat's definitely creepy. And going back to what you were saying, Ryan, about the humor, there was a lot of moments where I thought that they were playing more toward the humor, or at least trying to find some kind of humor. I think there was one moment where Nog was talking about the chairs inside of the Darsh.
Oh, yes. And sandwiches. That was very good.
Yeah.
Right. So there was a lot of that kind of, let's make light of the dark situation that we're in. And even the way Sisko was having to explain to his dad that he left Jake behind. He's like, Dad, it's not what you think it is. And he's like, well, you mean you didn't leave him with a bloodthirsty, killer group of people? He's like, no, actually, I kind of did. So there were moments like that I thought were telling a very serious story in a lighter kind of way that made it a little bit more easy to digest. So yeah, I did see some of the humor in there.
And Jadzia had this amazing leap into Worf's arms, only to fight about whatever animal they were going to slaughter or whatever. That definitely gave me wedding planning flashbacks. That was good as well.
I actually noticed that Worf didn't even budge when she launched herself in his arms. I was like, man, that is a sturdy man. He didn't even like whoa.
We were watching an episode a little while ago where it's them and the Jem'Hadar, and they're working together to, take down a rogue group of Jem'Hadar. And at one point, somebody goes down, and Michael Dorr just has like an unconscious dude like over his shoulder, and he's like a football player, just like douche, and he's like not even budging as there's a limp human on him. And Mary was like, I need to watch that again and make sure that's not a dummy, because like he looks like he's literally carrying nothing. The dude is just like totally a tank.
Strong man.
What a good actor.
A little bit more on Joseph Sisko, by the way, because he's been so precious to us. He's only been in a few episodes, but he's just so great and such a legendary actor and such great moments. But there was a funny moment there on top of what you were saying as well, Cirroc, that at least that made me laugh, was when Captain Sisko said something to the effect of, well, you didn't raise me to lie, or something like that. And then Joseph says, well, I raised you to be a chef for all the good that did, or something
That's so great.
I'm like, we get you, Joseph Sisko. We know who you are. We totally get that. We've all had that grandma or grandpa or older person in our life that was a little sassy and really smart and really funny. And I think it reminds me of my grandma. Maybe that's what it is. In a manly way.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something there when you're getting called out on all stuff. I mean, that's the beauty of his characters, because it allows us to see Sisko in a different light. because he's always having to walk around with this, I'm in charge kind of thing. And there's the very few moments where he gets to kind of be more himself when he's with Jake or when he's with his dad, which is even different because, when you're with your kid, then you still have that parent thing and you have a little bit of a, have to have some control. But when you're the child, then, the parent can talk to you how they want to talk to you and you just have to deal with it. So you get to see that in the Joseph Benjamin Sisko relationship.
Well, and I think that carries over the slice of real life that the last episode had, but this time showing that slice of real life during wartime. So, and all of these moments of levity are to help kind of ease the dire situation that they're in, that they're facing. So I think it's brilliant that they sprinkle those things in, that Worf is obsessing over his wedding and how it's not right, rather than, the Jem'Hadar on their tail or they losing more than, it's great.
Loved it. And there was that funny line where Dax acquiesces and says like, okay, fine, we can do the Targ slaughter after the dinner or the dinner after. And he doesn't flinch. He just goes, as it should be, I think is what and I watched that like 3 times because he's just so like, that's right. Okay.
Not finally getting the wedding I wanted.
Yeah.
Well, and then Sisko is like, well, trust me, a small wedding is the way to go. And Dax is like, you get married the way I want, and then I'll get married. And she's pointing to Worf as she says, the way I want.
Right.
Which is such a nice little subtle way of saying, yeah.
And then they're like, all right, we're off to go bang. And Sisko's like, good luck.
Don't break any bones.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, that was powerfully implied there.
I actually liked even just the intro into that where Martok is like, yeah, you got to talk to, like, he's been bitching about this for this whole time. And I can just imagine that, where the 2 Klingons are like, should we do this? Should we do that? And Worf is like, my wife has scheduled me. Just bitching about that. They're like looking at him like, dude, seriously? So I like the way Martok kind of said, you got to talk, like get it out now because I can't hear this anymore. I can't deal with it.
He says like he's been unable to think about anything other than the wedding.
Yeah.
Like, please go hammer it out, you guys, if you know what I'm saying. There was another thing. You guys were mentioning the chairs. There was another little throwaway line that was really smart when Garrick shows up. It was like after they said, well, right now, what's his name? Bashir just says, you'll be begging for, an infirmary later on. And Dax says, well, I'd be happy with just a view screen. And then Nog says, or a chair. And O'Brien says, or a sandwich. But then in the next sequence, Garrick comes in and everybody's happy to see Garrick, and Julian pats him on the shoulder. And then O'Brien says, pull up a chair. I'm like, what am I watching? A sitcom?
I was like, oh, I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
Nice button at the end there. Yeah. That's when the laugh track goes and they do the freeze frame.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the laugh tracks of the old. But yeah, little bit of humor. They always kind of that's the thing about these drama, right? It's like you're playing on the opposite spectrum of whatever the tensions are, and that creates it. And then comedy is so much the same. It's just a little bit of a flip on it, right? And so that's why you're able to blend some of the two, and you'll find really good comedic actors are also great at drama, and vice versa, because there is a similarity in the approach. Yeah.
Jamie Foxx was one of the first to really blow me where they're like, hey, don't pigeonhole me. Don't try to put a stamp on me. I mean, he was amazing in Ray.
Yeah. And he's not the only one. It's just, I mean, once you understand one, you can probably, do the other. It's just which one you're better at. And some people are better at the more comedic approach. But no, I love the way the writers handle the dialogue, the way they handle the tension. And I felt like watching this episode that it felt like they split the show into two, right? Because it was like, it's like you watch Cheers all the time. So everything happens at the bar. You're always watching Cheers. It's always at the bar. Now, if Sam Malone, has a hot dog cart outside, and half the show is about the hot dog cart and half the show is about the bar, you kind of split the show a little bit, right? He took like 3 or 4 people with him outside to the hot dog cart, and then the other guys are inside the bar. So it's almost like that. I feel like they've taken a show that was already complete and messed it up. How you mess up a Rubik's Cube that you buy brand new and you mess it up. I feel like they're taking a show, they've made it, they've set the boundaries, we've set the promenade, we know what it is, and now we're going to take everybody out of there, move a couple of people around, now mix things up, and I feel like I have a whole new show with 2 shows.
Yeah.
Like I have what's happening on DS9 and what's happening outside of DS9.
Yeah, they say, what is it? A movie is an event and a TV show is a location, like Cheers or like Jerry's Apartment or like Deep Space Nine or like The Enterprise. So no, I don't know. I'm still kind of stuck on the fact that you skipped 20 episodes. And so I'm really interested in your perspective. Like if things were confusing or if you were just like,
well, I have a pretty solid base of understanding and knowledge, so I wasn't too thrown. Although the only thing that I didn't have any recollection was Jake staying on the station. So when I don't really know the context in which that happened, so I find very interesting and fun that Jake gets left behind. And then we of course have my favorite scene in the episode, which is the Jake Wayoon walk and talk. Obviously I'm a big Jeffrey Combs fan, so I'm sort of curious to hear what he was like on set and what it was like to work with him, because that was one of my favorite scenes, and he kind of steals the show as he often does in this episode.
Yeah,
well, he's a joy and a pleasure. He's a very professional actor, so he comes to work, he comes to have fun while he's working, but he's really coming there to get the job done. And you can see the kind of fun he has in the performance. So the fun is on screen. It's not, the throwing bagels at the sound.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, that sounds like something you did.
It's just something I did for fun. But no, he's so great because he was playing on certain moments there, and I just felt a level of comfort with him. But there were like moments when he would like, oh, Jake, like no, and he plays with his power because he's very powerful in this episode and in this show, right? This character has a lot of power, but he doesn't wield the power in a threatening type of a dictator type of way,
like Ducat.
He's like Ducat. He seems a lot more, like I said, charming, open to discussion. Like even with this, like he could very easily tell Jake, "Hey, Jake, you're going to write this story. This is the story you're going to write, right?" And that's all. I'm not going to accept anything else. I think Jake said something like, "I'm not writing Dominion propaganda," or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I know.
And then he says, "Well, you keep writing. I'll keep reading. We'll leave it at that for now." Like, what the hell is that?
Right. You got to impress me. But at least he doesn't like give him a mandate and say, "This is what you have to write. These are the subject matter you have. These are the questions and forward it to my office and this, and then I'll approve it." He's kind of giving him a room to play with. He's like, "You got to get it first, but you're not going to write stuff that makes me look like a bad guy. I'm too smart for that, right?
Mhm.
So he's not letting Jake get away with the word occupation or whatever it was that was offensive.
Yeah, he said that just sounds like such a bad word. We're going to take a quick break right now, but speaking of charming, we will talk about Ducat as well a little bit more, right, guys? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be right back on the seventh rule. Hello, everybody. We have returned on the seventh rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello.
We're joined by your favorite. I was going to say Andorian, but oof, that's right. Jeffrey Combs was an Andorian too.
Your second favorite Andorian.
One of your favorite, at least top two favorite.
Listen, Rin's not even my favorite Andorian, so I'm with you on that.
Noah AK is here. We also have Melissa Longo, of course, classing up the joint. Real quick, here are the trivioids that may or may not have made the cutting room floor. The Federation has been engaging in bloody slaughter with the Dominion for 3 months. Garrett bruised his head on a bulkhead. Seems like a lyric. Bashir calculates their chances of survival to be 32.7%. Garrett calls Bashir a Vulcan. Worf is upset that Jadzia scheduled the ritual sacrifice of the Targ after the wedding feast has been served. Quark gives Kira a drink on the house. As occupations go, Quark says this one's not so bad. It's been 3 weeks since Joseph Sisko poisoned anyone. That was another funny little line there.
Yeah.
If Jakes wants his articles sent to the Federation, he's going to have to provide a more balanced perspective. Those were the trivioids. I'm telling you, there was so much. You know what the biggest thing about this episode was for me was the dynamics between the characters. They created all of these ripe, juicy dynamics, like between, Bashir and Garrett calling Bashir a Vulcan, Worf and Dax, and Worf and Martok, and so much between Odo and Kira, right? There was a lot really going there. And then obviously Kira and Ducat and Wayun and Damar and them and Odo. It's just like all in one episode, they developed all of these new, fresh dynamics with which to play.
Well, even with Nog and the crew.
Absolutely.
He's a kind of a new addition, but a staple to the bridge crew. And he fits right in so well. Yeah. It's natural.
He was what that crew needed, the fresh blood, right?
Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorite things in the episode is Bashir's at work outfit that he has at the start. Did you guys remember that? He's got his sleeves rolled up, shirt undone. I love that, man. He was ready for business. I love that.
It's probably because the Dominion ships don't have any mirrors. Right? They don't have chairs. They don't have a vanity station. Right. So he's just got to guess. He's like, is this what I look like?
Let me unbutton these three buttons here. There was a moment where Sisko, I thought, did a great job when he was given the news about how much casualties that the Starfleet had taken, and he kind of did this thing where his face was twitching when he slammed his hand on the table and broke the glass. I really loved that moment there. I was like, wow, this is Sisko starting to crack. Like, this is becoming too much for him.
Yeah, for sure.
The breaking of the glass was an accident, but they kept it in anyway because it was just so in the moment that.
Wow. Really? Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us more. Wow. That's fun.
I like to imagine that it's like that's him being really pissed off, but I can also imagine it's just like a really crappy, nobody expected anybody to put anything on this. We'll never look at it. Let's just throw it on top.
Right.
Yeah, we know how props go. They're not really for actually hitting things. It just looks like it.
Yeah, but that's one of those moments that unscripted. Yeah, that's good news right there. To a little good knowledge. I thought it did add a little bit of intensity to the scene, and it did let you know how much was at stake for Sisko. He's got a lot riding on things.
Yeah.
That's why they call him one take Sisko. You can't do that a second time, right?
Right.
What were you saying, Melissa?
Well, I was going to bring up the scene with Quark and the Jem'Hadar and him offering the Jem'Hadar holosuites, which brought up a question that may not be so classy, but is that him offering them the holosuite, I imagine the Jem'Hadar don't have any genitalia, because what would they use it for?
Well, they say there's no Jem'Hadar women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean,
So
they're
maybe
all
they have-
made.
Yeah, they've got
They're
nards, but that's it.
Yeah.
But they don't eat, so they don't have to go to
Genitalia.
waste distraction.
Good point.
Okay.
So there would be no need for anything to.
Maybe they could just use the holosuite to like practice a slaughter or something like that.
Yeah, that's a fantasy for them. They're like, ooh,
Yeah.
all these people to kill.
Yes.
Yeah, but Melissa,
But
you just threw me down a rabbit hole when you said no genitalia. I started thinking like, okay, so no stuff. Do they have butt cracks then? Or is it just like a
they
round?
don't eat.
Yeah, so anyway.
So why would they need it?
Cirroc, your thoughts?
And this is canon, Cirroc. Whatever you say is
Right.
Yeah,
Pressure's on.
Yeah, that's the. I don't want to be in charge of butt crack canon, but I can say that.
Shout out to
I can say
trekmovie.com. Tomorrow they're gonna have an article that says Jake Sisko said the Jem'Hadar didn't have butt cracks.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of other things. I was thinking that if I was a Jem'Hadar, what program would I want to see in the holosuite? That's what I was trying to think of. And I guess what I would want to see is whatever that drug is that they shoot themselves up with. I want to be in a room full of that. That would be my little Jem'Hadar fantasy, right?
Just a pool and a snorkel.
Well,
Right.
I was just going off of Quark's inflection, his
No.
Sure.
Yeah. But then I was like, but then, which raised the question as to why they need quarters on the Jem'Hadar ship.
Oh, that kind of quarters.
for the laundromat.
That's true. That's true. They do have quarters though, right?
Do they have to sleep? Do they have to sleep somewhere?
Julian said he had to put all of his stuff in his quarters. So that means there are quarters on the ship.
Man, that's a solid nitpick.
I mean, unless they rotate the Jem'Hadar to conserve energy, but I don't know if they actually sleep either.
Okay. You had a pretty good nitpick on the Jem'Hadar ship just a couple episodes ago too, right, Melissa, where it was like something about the chairs. You're really fixated on these Jem'Hadar ships, I think.
Well, they're pretty cool, but you know, they would definitely need replicators and chairs.
I did see a callback reference. I think they said something about when the Admiral was telling Sisko that he was now going to pilot the Jem'Hadar ship, right? He said, "This is the one that you captured a while back."
Yeah.
And we wasn't that an episode? Like, wasn't that in an episode?
Yeah. Is that a spoiler for you, Noah, or did that already?
No, that's the last one we saw. So I can tell you, it's fresh in my memory.
Otherwise, we're like, maybe they did capture a ship. We don't know.
The founder goop is still fresh on that ship, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay,
that's the review you did with Caitlin.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a great one. The ship. So that was episode 2 of season 5, right? And that's what you said. You're right, Noah, about the ship.
Right. So I thought it was a great callback. Once again, it was like, wow, these guys brought back this ship. You know, I guess they had it in the hole there, but you forget about these things as the episodes go along, and you know, watching more storylines. And then when they call back something like that and say, "Oh yeah, by the way, we got that ship that you found," it just makes the continuity that much more believable.
Yeah.
And you just feel like, oh wow, these guys are on top of it. Yeah, I forgot about that ship. And yes, they could use that ship now. And this is a totally great idea. And it makes sense because they've already sold it to me, you know, 6 months ago or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that about it.
The whole episode feels very episodic. Like there's a very like small little arc at the end, like the last 15 minutes really, where they're like, we're going to go blow up this station. But like the rest of it really feels like, hey, we're just like picking up story threads from last time and moving them forward. It's not like there's like sort of one like sort of thing that has to happen in the full hour, you know, which I thought was pretty different and pretty cool.
Yeah, that's where, that's where Ira and company really get their kudos. Is they kind of created this newer style of writing, at least for us Star Trek fans, that was basically in between episodic and serialized, where each episode is kind of its own standalone work of art, but there is like this overarching storyline to where, like they don't necessarily need, you know, beginning, middle, and end kind of feel totally, because we're reading a chapter in a book more so than its own short story. And it's amazing. It's that's why a lot of people, myself included, think it's, you know, at least in the first 30 years of Star Trek was the best writing, I thought, and a lot of people thought, was, you know, seasons like 5 through 7 of Deep Space Nine.
And the great example of that is the relationship building between Kira and Odo. There's such an interesting intimacy developing between them without in a roundabout way. So they put that all on the back burner, but they're so much closer now than they were before, and relying on each other so much. And it's wonderful to see that develop naturally, and not have them just force Kira and Odo together, but have them have a place to go, you know, not and then just not forget about it in the next episode. I love that they don't forget about things like that, like Cirroc mentioned. They keep the continuity consistent, which is wonderful.
And I agree that it's like they're creating a more powerful relationship between the two of them this way, to where they're just really, really, really depending on each other and confiding in each other and leaning on each other. It's creating this amazing relationship. And it's funny that you mention intimacy, because that was the word that I think Kira said to Dukat when she said, what do you think, we have some kind of, you're trying to create some kind of intimate relationship with me? And he laughs. He says, but Major, we already have it, or we already have one, Major. Oh, that was poetry. And that's when I pictured you, Melissa, because I know you were like ready to claw your TV out when you saw that.
Well, yeah, because he's just so deluded and so arrogant. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy. Which is great, because Mark Limo's doing his job. Because you know, he's doing it wonderfully. I shouldn't like Dukat, and I don't. You know,
even does like a great like fade into the darkness sort of villain move as he slowly like backs up away. It's so good.
Yeah.
I found the line. She said, "Are you really so deluded that you actually believe we have some sort of intimate relationship?" And he says, he gives this great laugh. He goes, "Oh, we already do." And then I put in my notes, if looks could kill, because Kira gave him this look of like, I am going to just cut every single part of you off your body, starting somewhere.
And I love that she doesn't back down to him or become, you know, a quivering, swiveling, you know, she's like, no, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Get out of my way.
I thought it was great when he says to her, I could make things very pleasant for you here, Kira. And then her response was the best. She was like, you could start by doing something about your breath.
That is a good line. That is like the really thing that really gets to him.
He's really self-conscious about his Cardassian breath.
Amazing. Lizard breath.
Canar breath. Yeah.
Canar. What is Canar made of? I wonder.
Lizard breath.
Lizard breath.
No, yeah, the exchanges between them are great. And the other thing I wanted to highlight really quickly was the fact that they have created this checks and balance of power in the show. So it's like not everybody has all the power, right?
Yeah.
It's like Wei Yun has the power, but then he bows down to a founder. And then this, it's like Ducat has power, but he has to bow down to Wei Yun. And there's this dynamic where the power is kind of checked here and there. Like Bajor wants to do this, but they have to listen to this, to their prophets. And so there's this constant, somebody is always keeping something in check on this show. And I like the way they've made that intricate weave of people checking each other.
It's such sophisticated writing, the way each relationship is so detailed and so thought out to where there are no easy answers. And it's so smartly done towards the end of last season where they set all this up. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Noah, but it's really good. I can't wait till you see it. But it's just like they set everything up to where they all have this really good motivation. We understand why Wei Yun is forced to try to make nice with the Bajorans. And we understand why Wei Yun is even more so forced to make nice with Odo because he's honored by his presence. And we understand the relationship with Ducat and Damar hating them, but they have to do it because of Wei Yun. And it's just like, this is the payoff for excellent planning and writing. And right now we're receiving that payoff for all that setup. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that that's like set up over 5 seasons, as opposed to like 2 or 3 or even 1 is sort of more what you would expect now. But to have that sort of come to fruition through and at the end of the 5th season, because even just going back through it, seeing how they are like dropping in the Dominion in the 1st and 2nd seasons, but holding back so much, having in mind, like, we're not going to get to this till season 6, knowing you're going to get to season 6, you just won't see anything like that nowadays, which is just so cool.
Yeah, well, networks don't have that kind of patience anymore either. Like,
definitely,
if you go, trust me, it gets really good in season 6. They'll be like, it gets really good in minute 6 of the first episode.
Yeah, you just can't do it. You can't do it like that anymore, right. Which is too bad. You don't have that, and you'd also, you don't have. You're lucky if you have half the amount of episodes at 13. Usually, you're going to get 8 to 10. So you just have so much less time to kind of really pull these things out.
Mm-hmm. I think that's an excellent point, Noah, because we did 26 episodes in a season, that would be the equivalent of 2.5, 3 seasons of Star Trek today.
Yeah,
and that allows us a lot more time to go into detail and to character build. Now you have to watch, you have 10 seasons of an episode. When they introduce a new character, it's got to be quick. They're not going into, it's not, you're not getting a 15-minute backstory.
Right. And you can't really have people sort of stick around in the same way because you have so many people sort of on the order that you need to sort of serve, like everyone is going through a change or an event. And you just see how it sort of is lining up with those main characters that, like characters like even like Garrick, you just aren't really going to get, you just don't have the time to really dive into their stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So what Noah is saying is if he were in Deep Space Nine, he would have gotten 15 episodes instead of just a handful. That's the key right there.
I would have really worn out my welcome.
No way.
People would be booing by the end.
But no, it's also a testament to your skill, Noah, because in that amount of time that you introduced your Rin character on the show, we already had an attachment to it. We felt like we knew the character, and that's a testament to you making us have an endearing feeling towards you and your character in such a short amount of time.
Oh,
you don't.
well, thank you. And they did, and I think like it's also, they did a great job sort of understanding. The writers did a great job understanding, like, we want to put this guy in here, but we don't have the same amount of time that we used to. What are the tools at our disposal? And basically it was like, let's just have David Ajala look lovingly at him, and that'll sort of sell it for us.
I think it's more than that. I think it's
you got to do things super quick nowadays. You get that one. It's super lean.
Yeah. It's a quick thing. It's just like when you're on one of those American Idol X Factor shows. As soon as the performer comes out, it's like you get 3 to 5, 10 seconds max before we're like yes or no, or you get buzzed off the stage. And to me, that's what, when we see a character like Ren, it's like, do I like this character? There's something intriguing about it. I want to know more.
Yeah.
And you had to sell that to us, and you did a great job, obviously, because we love that character. And I think that's what Jeffrey Combs does for Wei-Yun. He makes us love that. He makes us like, really, like, that's an intricate character. I want to know more.
Yeah. Like in that scene where he's like switching between like, immediately giving Odo what he wants and then telling Ducat to shut up. You're just like, oh, I gotta have more of this.
Good. So good.
And then there's that one shot where I forget who he's talking to, but like somebody moves out of his light and a door opens and the blue light sort of opens on his face. He's got those bright blue eyes. Do you guys remember that? It was just like suddenly he's like, his whole demeanor is changed by the lighting, and just like, just more, Jeff. Keep going.
Yeah, that was such a good scene that you're talking about, where basically in a nutshell, Odo shows up, Wei-Yun's like, ass kiss verbiage. And Odo says, I want my Bajoran forces back. Wei-Yun's immediately like, consider it done. And he says, I want them on as my security. He says, I don't see any problem with that. Like, he's just like bowing to him. And Ducat says, I do. And he's like, this is between me and Odo. He's like, quit cock blocking me, man. It's so good. Like how he just snapped, like he's just like kissing Odo's ass. And then he's like yells at Ducat. It's beautiful.
But just to add on to that, because performance-wise as an actor, when he walks up to Odo, he could have delivered that 1,000 different ways, right? But he actually opened his arms. I don't know if you saw that his hands were open. Like, he was like, and he stood there with his hands open as if like, you're merciful. I beg for your humility, have mercy on me. So just the fact that he stood there with his hands open and kind of head down a little bit, like not looking him directly in the eye. Those were body language choices that he made. And that's what makes the performance that much better. That's what makes Jeffrey Combs gets the big bucks and always gets invited back, because of those kinds of decisions performance-wise in those moments.
Yeah, you don't really feel like he's holding back. He's not like holding his power back, he's like totally supplicating himself, which is something a lot of actors don't like to do. They want to feel like the dude on set, but he has no problem really just kind of totally giving into it, which is just so awesome to see.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that that you're mentioning, Cirroc, that doesn't sound like something that was in the script. That sounds like it was an actor's choice, that nonverbal communication, that physicality of doing this. Maybe it says he bows or something like that, but whatever it was, it did not say it to the extent that he took it. But that immediately, and the inflection in his voice and all that just is like dripping with submission and reverence to his God. And it's so good. Loved it.
Yeah.
And I also love Damar in the background as the grumpy old. He's just in the background. You can tell he's got a plan up his sleeve. You can just tell he's like, just give me the word, and
his hands on a knife. It's twitching on a knife right now.
he is itching with that trigger finger, and you can just tell he's just slowly in the background, like grumping and it's like, we see you, buddy. We see you.
And Casey does a great job too at demonstrating his belief that Cardassians are the best species in the universe, and everyone should bow down to them. And
He's probably right.
No, and Marco Limo had a great line too. Ducat says, "Today was a great day for Cardassia and the Dominion." He threw that in there, like, "Oh yeah, and those guys." And the other thing I noticed is that he did the opening voiceover, which is usually reserved for the captain.
Yes.
That's right.
So he actually was like, star date or whatever they do, station log.
Permanent documentation file, which just makes it sound so much more official.
Yes.
And
I thought that was good.
also read that that's the first time that a villain has had that opportunity.
Wow.
Melissa, why you keep holding out on us, man? She's burying the lead.
I like that you just heard it. Somebody just whispered in your ear.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
just 2 seconds ago on Discord, I heard it.
That is good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it happened again, but yeah.
Okay, Melissa, we have 1 minute left. If you're keeping any other secrets from us, we don't want to.
What other Easter eggs?
I did want to talk about the last moment with Nog in the episode when they learn that it's going to take them 17 years, 2 months, and 3 days to get back home. And the look on Nog's face to me said, I'm going to be the oldest cadet in Starfleet history. And then I thought, move over, Ensign Kim.
Yeah, I was going to say Voyager was happening at that same time. So
yeah. 17 years as a cadet is a long time. But but brilliant moment from Nog.
Loved it. So very quickly, we do want to give a very special thanks to Carmen Shamwell, aka Skillet, TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri, Bill Victor Arucan, Yvette Blackmon, Homer Freezy out somewhere in New Yeezy, Eve England out in Wales, Dr. Anne-Marie Segal, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Tim Baum, aka Grandpa One, Titus Mohler, John Mann, Mark Rocco, Darlena Marie, and Rex A. Wood.
I want to get some. I need a special nickname for one of these people. Mann Segal. That seems fun. I want in.
Don't say Anne Marie got mad because she said, "Why do you pronounce my last name like that?" I'm like, Seagull. She's like, "It's not seagull like the bird. It's seagull." I'm like, I don't hear a difference. me and Anne Marie understand each other. Me and Anne Marie, I know her. So we're cool. She's angry at you. She's not angry at me. we message about you, Ryan, about how you just can't say the name right. Meanwhile, I'm nailing it. I know. I just don't hear the difference. My ear's not tuned to it.
That's what we say to each other. So go figure.
All right. But also a very, very special thanks to Funny Man Noah AK. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure to come and revel in your Star Trek goodness. I'm really just a big dork and a fan who's just here to listen to you guys talk about Star Trek. So thanks for having me.
That's a perfect fit then.
Come to the right place.
Yeah,
good.
Really.
Good.
Cool. Yeah. Everybody else, stick around for the free-for-all. Noah, what is your Twitter handle? It's N_A_K. Right? I think that's the only Twitter handle I've ever memorized because it's 5 characters.
Yeah, it's either that or you're going to have to memorize Noah Averbach-Katz. So I'm just keeping it simple. So yeah, you find me there. Find me on Twitch at the Type 1 Track Geek. Come hang out. We're having a good time.
Good times. Great. Thank you very much. Everybody else, stick around for the free-for-all. And always remember the 7th rule.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 7th Rule. I'm here with the classy Melissa Longo in the house. We've also got our host and our main man, Ryan T. Husk, in the building. Let me give a shout out to the Admiral Rex A. Wood joining us today.
Excellent.
We've also got Mr. Tim Baum, aka Grandpa One, representing for Manchester.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. We got the wrong one.
Keep going. Let's just roll with it.
He's like, no, not from Manchester. And also we got Homer Freezy from New Yeezy in the house, keeping it
Hello.
easy.
Sup?
Freezy from New Yeezy.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful, beautiful Dr. Susan Gruner joining us. And last but definitely not least, Dr. Marie Segal.
Hi.
Very nice.
And I'm Cirroc. Let's get it started. Right?
You went, I'm Cirroc Lofton. No big whoop. Whatever.
Yeah, let's get it started. The
All
show's
right.
all back to you, and it's all yours.
So yeah, let's just open it up because this was such a freaking good episode. It's oh my goodness. Wait a minute. We forgot. Cirroc Lofton. I mean, Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
Oh, yeah, we did forget
Hmm.
that.
We just had so many good things to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one. I don't know. I'm going to say 8.3. That's my guess on this episode. An
Does
8.3.
Anybody else have any guesses?
3.
I just realized I hadn't turned it yet.
Turning 10 into a verb. I tend it.
Attend it.
Mhm. Anybody else? Any guesses?
Why can't it be like over a 9? Why can't it be like a 9.7 or something? Why are all these 8s? I don't like those 8s. I don't like.
Eight something is good for IMDb.
It is.
Yeah,
It is because there are a lot of people that are like, they look at the episode. I liked you, but you weren't the best. You're an 8.
Or I went out with a guy
you're
on the
an
show
eight.
and he never called me back. Let me just lower.
Yes, it was an 8.6, Cirroc. Very close.
Oh,
very
wow.
close.
Very good.
Oh,
But yeah, we just couldn't stop talking about there was so much humor, there was so much darkness, there was so many great intricate storylines and character dynamics. So let's just keep it going, right? My guess is that Homer has something to say about this episode. What do you think, Homer? Do you?
It's just going to be a general statement. I think this is the first one where we get the serialization, and we end, and it's like, wait, okay, that's not a complete episode that we're used to, and so there's more to come. And I did look ahead in the companion, so I know how long the arc is, and it's pretty exciting, and everyone gets to do something fun, mostly. I especially liked, if I may, the scene that I have is Ducat after he is taken over
doing a line.
Sisko's office.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
I think here, maybe I did the grab at the wrong time, but I think he had spun the ball or something like that. Yeah. So that's what's going on in this particular scene. But he knows that Sisko said, basically with the ball being there, that he'll be back for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that scene. That was really fun. I love that they keep bringing back the baseball throughout the entire series, and it just means so many different things at different times. And right now, it's basically it's basically like showing, this is Sisko's presence here, saying, "I'm going to be back. Don't call it a comeback. I never left." That baseball signifies him. It seems, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and it actually it reaches some kind of nerve inside of me when I see Ducat holding the ball. It's something that bothers me about it. It's like seeing your girlfriend with somebody else.
That's not yours. That's not yours.
Just wait till he grabs that Willie Mays card. Then you're really
We're fighting. We got fighting words. Those are fighting words.
And didn't you say that Mark Alemo has the ball?
It's right there.
Yeah.
No, she
No, I
means
mean
in
in
real
real
life.
It got
Not in real life,
stolen.
but maybe we should have him on the show and ask him.
Are you saying you want Mark Alimo?
I think yes, we do. We want Mark Alimo.
We want Mark Alimo. Okay. Sounds good
Well,
to me.
and it's placed at such a great moment right after he's been sexually harassing Kira. So that's just an extra jab of his gross sliminess. You know, now he's touching
Great
Sisko's
word,
balls
sliminess.
too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Are you trying to say that Ducat and Major Kira don't already have this intimate relationship?
Oh yeah, well that's apparent, isn't it?
We're trying to say that he's got Sisko by the balls.
Hey, zing.
I was waiting.
Yeah, I wasn't
Or
trying to say
the
that.
ball.
Hey,
That's-
that ball even liked the joke. You got it in stitches right now.
Oh. Where's
There
your
it is,
cowbell?
Homer.
Oh, yeah.
That deserves a
God, you're
cowbell.
about to
That
get
ball was
stamped.
laughing so hard it's in stitches.
Oh, wow.
Rex, do you have any thoughts on this episode?
Well, a little bit, I guess. This is like when Deep Space Nine is really good, is when, you know, Sisko is mad, you know, you can just see that he's mad. And at the end, the fleet, it gets defeated and they're going back, you know, with only 14 ships left out of many ships. And you can just see how angry he is about what is going on. And this is just when really that character really grows a lot, is during this time. I love some of the things that go on during this. You know, with Garrick and Brashear when he's talking about him being enhanced, and he's talking about, now you're going to show it off. You know, you didn't do it before. And Brashear goes, well, I didn't think I should do that, and now I really don't care at this point. And he comes in and, you know, he starts showing off what his intellect is, you know, and being able to come up with calculations when he says, well, you know, what's the percentage of us actually surviving this? And Brashear goes 35, and he goes, I was hoping it would be higher than that, you know,
0.7.
and like
And then
50%.
And then he said,
Yeah.
I was hoping it'd be higher, and he said 32. Right?
Yeah. But no, great. This is a great episode. This is some of the best Deep Space Nine there is when they start getting in with the Dominion and everything like that. So yeah, absolutely great episode.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, everybody. You tend to watch these episodes before we review them. Did you do that recently? Have you seen it? What do you think?
You know I did. Yes. I'm noticing a lot more because of you guys. And I don't really know how to explain what I mean by that, but I noticed like the carpeting and stuff. I never paid attention to it until like 2 or 3 episodes ago. I love what they did. There were some Data-esque moments with Bashir,
Or Spock.
like figuring out how long it's going to take to get back without warp, and without warp drive, and I love that. I love the details, the darkness, the light, the way the ship was lit, every little detail. They're just so good about every little detail, and every character has depth. Every single line, I just don't know how they.
Yeah.
Why did they do it for Deep Space Nine? And as much as I love all the others, they're not the same. They can't touch the level of character development and the depth of the characters in every single character. Nog has great lines. Everybody has great lines, and there's some of them are funny. I think there's humor, and sometimes when you're terrified, you have to have humor.
Yes.
And that was definitely part of this. And I liked. This is one of my favorite episodes. I say that a lot. I just love all of them. They're 10s, damn it. They're all 10.
Wow, that was. I think we were all kind of thinking something. I didn't know what to say when you said why couldn't they do that with the other shows? Like, I don't know how to respond to that, but like, maybe part of it was that the writers couldn't do 2 shows, or maybe that. I think what Ira
UPN.
I think Ira told us. I think what he said, Cirroc, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what he said was something like they were watching the suits were paying attention to Voyager, and they kind of just went, Deep Space Nine's the other show, and Voyager was their darling. But then in that, they had the freedom to experiment a little bit more. And that experimentation turned into phenomenal writing. It wasn't like an experiment where they go, okay, well, we tried, didn't really work out. Let's go back to the formula. They tried it, it worked out, and it stands the test of time, right?
Well, that's exactly what Aaron asked Ira directly.
Nice.
And Ira said, yeah, after when Voyager started, Voyager was now the flagship show. And so the eye of
Sauron
was off of them, so they could do whatever they want. Yeah, so Ira walked into the, writer's room and said, it's time to play, basically. So
the curse was a blessing
and
then.
They did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that it has a lot more to do with just the fact that number one, Michael Piller set the tone for the characters in the show and what he wanted to accomplish. So a lot of the basic elements of what the show was actually captured in the pilot. So they started off already kind of defining which direction they wanted to go into.
Even in the first 2 minutes,
Right.
Yeah, right away. So in my opinion, Michael Piller laid down a blueprint for, okay, this is what I want. These are the characters that I want, and this is the kind of show that I want. And to Ira Bear's credit, he took that framework, he took the raw ingredients and chefed up a beautiful, 7-course dinner for us to feast on.
It always ends up as food with us, doesn't it? We always go back to food.
A sandwich.
But I just feel like it's the writing. It's not just the fact that Paramount was looking the other way, and it's the writing. It's people taking the chance, and having the background of knowledge. Remember when Ira and Robert and all these guys, when they start talking about writing these shows, look at all the references that they bring. They're like, yeah, this book and this, and then and they did this and this show and Twilight Zone, and they did this back in. So they have this like super abundant wealth of information and knowledge that they're picking up from and saying that they want to incorporate in the show. I mean, the book titles, the name of the songs, like everything is handpicked, right? We watch and was like, why did they pick that title? Well, because Casablanca and this and that, and so there's so much layered into the show because the writers had a desire to layer those things and also have the knowledge and expertise to kind of pick and choose what they wanted to do. So I give the credit to the writers for making those choices, and specifically Michael Piller for setting down the tone and Ira for picking up the ball and dunking it.
It might have been Ira. I can't remember who actually specifically said that about Michael Piller, is that character was so important to him. It was the most important facet of going into writing a show. And it shows, as you said, right from the beginning. So yeah, I think you're right there too, Cirroc, as far as credit to Michael Piller for being brave enough to and to be as principled in his thoughts as how to approach Deep Space Nine and the love for their characters.
That's what we love about it. Those awesome characters. And it's just so many of them. It's so rich. Dr. Marie Segal, your thoughts on this episode, if any?
Just that we get Dr. Bashir with rolled up sleeves, which is one of my favorite looks.
The rolled up sleeves.
Tim's response.
Yes.
Tim is like,
I mean,
Liverpool. Damn it, Liverpool. My bad.
Also, like the really
And
fun
one
thing when I was
finisher.
watching is like that scene with Dr. Bashir and Garrick, like it really catches the intimacy of their relationship that goes unspoken, like in the words they're saying. Like Garrick at one point even sort of like touch/caresses Dr. Bashir's arm, and you can like really see like how they're like adding things between the lines, and they do it so well. But I mean, this episode's just fabulous.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
I was thinking when
he changed his name to
Dr.
Liverpool. Sorry, sir.
Yeah. With exclamation marks. I'm surprised it's not all caps, but I got it. It's Liverpool. But no, I'm surprised that there wasn't a reference to Dr. Bashir. Well, if you're so smart, you still haven't been able to figure out how to get a girl on this station.
Except for Melora. What was her name? Melora.
Yeah, Melora.
The one that did the flying punch at someone.
It's okay. There's still going to be more patience for him to weirdly seduce.
Yeah, it's so funny because like with all that intelligence, the awkward approaches and advances that he made in the early parts of the season, you would think that's not the sign of a genetically enhanced superior mind, right? They were kind of really archaic advances that he was making at these Dax and everybody else. So that was one thing that crossed my mind. But I did like the intimacy that Odo and Kira had in this episode. I think there was a moment where Kira said, like, I feel comfortable talking to you. And she started to open up to him. And I was like, wow, this is like, he's getting everything he wanted, like, by acting like he didn't want it anymore. It was kind of crazy. It was the best.
That guy gets
setup
it. He knows.
Yeah.
But like every time the episode ends, I'm like, will this be the week that Cirroc like can't stop watching and he goes on to the next episode, even though he doesn't have to? Just kidding.
I almost went into the next episode on this one because of the ending. It didn't give me enough of an ending. I
don't even know where these start and stop because I always watch. I just let it run. It's so they're all so good.
Yeah, it wasn't a solid enough ending for me where I was like, well, let me sneak into the next. No. Let me. I actually had to pull myself back, and I was waiting actually for a to be continued. Like I don't know why, but I was waiting
doing all that kind of stuff
because it's like a
after I think
a 5-6 episode arc.
The to be continued is silent.
Well, I do miss Majel saying it. Like.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Tim Baum, #1 Chelsea fan. What did you
Grandpa won. Then Chelsea.
Sorry, Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was going to refer to one scene. Nobody's mentioned it, and it was when they were on the getting used to the Jem'Hadar ship, and Nog's kind of whining, and Chief O'Brien. Some of you may know a chief and the chief petty officer in the Navy is kind of the backbone of the Navy. Even officers listen to him. So when O'Brien just basically turned around and said, suck it up, shipmate, that's what would have happened in real life too. But overall a good episode. And yeah, it did kind of end, because now's the beginning of what's all going to go down. So, but yeah, it just kind of ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. See, for me, it didn't really, I guess it's because I was expecting it. Like we kind of know what to expect going in. And they did have that little 10 or 15 minute microcosm of an episode at the end where they go and they're going to blow up the planet and then they're going to fly off and whatever. And so it was almost like they're like, let's give them something to, some kind of little beginning, middle, and end. And that kind of was it, so that, people can look back and be like, the episode where they blew up that asteroid or the Catcher Cell, where they got stranded. Okay. But really, yeah, it's just one long series of episodes that are just kind of
I
put
love
together.
how, like, Jake is more incorporated in this series of episodes also. It's just like such a fun role. I just love that all of this works together and everybody has something to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really the first episode they've moved away from Jake and Nog being a couple too. So they're off doing their own scenes with different people, and it's that's interesting too, I thought.
Yeah, I loved Sisko Nog dynamic. In the beginning of this episode, Sisko's like, "Cadet, take us around," or something like that. I just like that dynamic there between the two of them. And yeah, with Jake, I'm glad to see that Jake's getting a different kind of storyline, a different kind of purpose for being around, instead of just always hanging around, and they're actually giving him something to do. So I like that. And I also like the way that they did it is putting him into the journalism and the kind of reporting and stuff. So it allows him access to conversations and to be digging and to be investigating. So it gives him get another purpose of probing and investigating and kind of information gathering. So I think that eventually that's going to become very instrumental in the future. I don't know how the show's going to go, but it seems like that would be, if you're going to be doing reconnaissance and you want to be gathering information, you have an inside source, a news reporter, or whoever it is, that's, collecting data for you that might become pertinent in the future.
Now, everybody at home that's saying, what do you mean you don't know? You were in it. You guys, it was 24 years ago. He does. It's almost completely new to him in every way. But it is something interesting that, Nog is being placed at the big kids table in a way, whereas before the two of you were at the little kids table in many episodes. And now you, Jake Sisko, you have a direct line storyline with the highest, official member of the Dominion, like the person in charge of that entire story arc there, you're directly involved with that person. So both of you have now gone up to the big kids table, and it's a really interesting thing. I hadn't really thought of that. Yeah.
We also get to see Odo kind of use his being a founder in this to be able to get what he wants to, to be able to get, security team back and stuff like that. And, with Kira telling him, you know what, you need to be using this. These people are thinking you're a founder. And we see Waylon like just always throwing himself at Odo. It's like, oh, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? Not realizing Odo's the enemy to you. Odo wants to destroy you, but yet, since you're a founder, he's going to just sit there and just pegate to him, just give him what he wants, and that's what's so funny about it, It absolutely is. Yeah.
So much depth.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So here's a quick fun game, everybody, that Cirroc came up with.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Now,
at the very beginning of the episode of the Deep Space Nine episode, it said in memory of Brandon Tartikoff.
Yeah.
And Cirroc started listing off all of the shows that he was a part of or affiliated with. Do you still have that list with you, Cirroc?
Yeah, I do. But I mean, to briefly, without getting to it, is, Cosby Show, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Cheers, Golden Girls. I mean, there's a long list of shows.
Is insane.
Wow.
Because he was the programming director for NBC for many years. So he's got some responsibility for all of these shows being produced. But he has a direct responsibility for the creation of Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and
yes.
Didn't he pass away at like age 47 or something, like incredibly young? So that was
no.
like all before, like in that short life.
48. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So here, I'll just name off a few of the things, what they said he was affiliated with over at his careers at NBC. The Cosby Show, The Tonight Show, Knight Rider, Family Ties. God, I wish there was a better list I could find. What were all the others?
Hill Street Blues, L.A. Law and
I was
Order.
gonna say LA Law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, Cheers, Seinfeld, The
Saved
Golden
by the
Girls,
Bell.
Saved by the Bell, Wings, Miami Vice,
Yeah.
The A-Team,
Yeah.
Saint Elsewhere, and Night Court, like a bunch of shows.
Wings is like one of the best shows you can watch on Paramount Plus that isn't anywhere else.
He also helped develop Punky Brewster, which I know is Ryan's favorite.
One of them. Aren't they doing a Punky Brewster reboot? They're rebooting everything. So just name a show from the 80s or 90s, and they're definitely Deep Space Nine. They're rebooting.
And he was also a big baseball fan. So baseball's in this show because of Michael Piller. And I would assume that Tartikoff has a
wondered about that.
A baseball connection with Michael Piller. I'm sure they were baseball.
Yeah, is that why they had that
buddies.
like Dodgers box seat or whatever
Yeah.
team they'd go to?
Yeah, so I'm sure they were baseball buddies, and that's ultimately one of the reasons why baseball is such a big part of DS9.
So the question is, of all those shows that we just listed, which is your favorite besides anything Star Trek related? I know. I know.
Hard.
Toughie. Here we go. Let's start with Melissa, because,
Yeah,
she's brave.
I picked my answer at the beginning of the episode when you were listing it off, when Cirroc was listing it off. The Golden Girls, hello. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Tim Baum. Sorry, it doesn't say that he was an executive for any soccer games. So,
but NBC has the English Premier League contract. But no, I'd have to say Wings. I just
Love Wings.
loving the show Wings. So that's my favorite.
Yeah. And it's funny because when we were doing DS9, they were filming Wings. And I would hang out with the star, one of the star of Wings.
Tim Daly.
And I'm looking,
One of
I'm
the
trying to
brothers.
find, I'm trying to find out the cast because they were.
yeah, there was that one dude who was kind of like the funny guy, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I think one of them was in a
Was
Star
in-
Trek episode.
Who was in Sideways, wasn't he?
No, he was straight up. He was.
Tony Shalhoub was in there. Monk
Oh,
played the
really?
taxi driver.
That's cool.
Love Tony Shalhoub.
So the guy I would hang out and play a lot of basketball with, one was Tim Daly a little bit, but mostly Thomas Church.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
Thomas Hayden
Yeah.
Church, right?
Yeah.
Thomas Hayden Church, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he'd
Went
always
to
be.
Yale, by the way. Brandon did. Wow.
He went to
He went
where?
to Yale. Yeah. I'm looking at his.
Oh.
I mean, it's no
Mm.
pen.
Well, the Yale is mightier than the pen, or how does that go?
Mm.
Sue, what's your favorite Brandon Tartikoff?
Well, I'm going to show my age here. I remember. I don't watch as much TV as some of you do, but I remember St. Elsewhere. I remember Helen Hunt was in St. Elsewhere. I watched that religiously. What year was that? What decade was that? 80s? I don't remember. Seinfeld, yes. But actually, I'm thinking LA Law. I loved that show. I mean, I don't remember what decade that was either. I
80s.
didn't watch Hill Street
Or
Blues
as
religiously.
Rose Nyland would say, la law.
They're actually
Very
doing
good,
a reboot
good
of that.
knowledge.
Corbin Burnton's going to star in the reboot of LA Law. So sometime this fall, I think.
Rebooting everything. They're going to reboot the Golden Girls. The G Girls.
Never.
It won't be as good. There's no chance.
No.
There's
No way.
no chance. That's impossible. And Marie Segal, is your favorite The Golden Girls?
I mean, I think that's my favorite one to actually watch. But in terms of like cultural like specialness that I really link to the 80s, I'd say like Cheers or Wings or Family Ties, like those like early TV memories. But yeah, Golden Girls is the best one, if not Star Trek.
Rex A. Wood, your thoughts?
Hill Street Blues.
Nice.
Definitely Hill Street Blues. Because I think if you think about it, it was a very dark cop show, kind of like Deep Space Nine is kind of dark. It was kind of like when they looked at a lot of different things with police shows, and they got more into a lot of situations like Deep Space Nine did. If you look at some of the episodes of that, they really got into some controversial things with the police department too. So, and it being based on the Chicago Police Department anyway, at the same time, it definitely was a lot of good drama in that show. Absolutely.
Rex loves drama.
Yeah.
Homer, what do you think? Lala as well?
I can't go Lala. I agree that Hill Street Blues was groundbreaking. And I think this is one you didn't mention, but it's the one that I am going to mention, and I'll give you a quote. I love it when a plan comes together.
A-Team.
Yes.
You know,
I thought you were going to say Alf.
you know the actor that was in the A-Team was also in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. T?
Yes.
Oh. No.
Oh, okay. That's
Dwight Schultz.
That's the one.
Yep.
Oh, B.A. Baracus?
Now, Broccoli,
yes.
Lieutenant Broccoli was Murdoch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Murdoch.
There was an episode in.
You know, I used to work out with B.A. Baracus with Mr. T. For real.
No.
Really?
Yeah, out in Sherman Oaks. Yeah, he was the nicest. You have no idea, because he plays this tough guy, but he's the nicest. He's just unbelievable. I can't get over it.
Pity that Ryan Husk. I pity that Ryan.
He didn't pity. He was like happy. He was so cheerful and loving. And yeah, he did pity me a little bit, but
Best Mohawk around ever.
There was an A-Team episode with Dirk Benedict. They were chasing or being chased through the Paramount lot, and he sees a Cylon.
Yeah.
And he just stops and goes,
Yeah.
No way.
I know you from somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They actually had it like there for a while. I think it was also part of the beginning of the show. They would show him and that Cylon would be there. Yeah. And he would just be like, something's not right here, Yeah.
Wow, that's so meta. That's cool.
Yeah.
For me, I like the A-Team very much, and I liked Cheers very much. But yeah, and the Golden Girls is like one of the best shows of all time, especially that pilot is a perfect pilot. But Seinfeld. I gotta put Seinfeld up at the level of Golden Girls or above. And God, I'm just gonna name them all. And the Cosby Show was kind of like a very important part of my childhood. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So but not LA Law or Hill Street Blues. I never saw any of that stuff. So I don't want to seem like I'm just saying yes to all of them. Cirroc, did you have a favorite?
I was going to say, it's funny because now it's like not even politically correct to talk about the Cosby Show anymore, which is so sad. Yeah. But it was an impactful show, and it was a show that showed a Black family, in my opinion, in a positive light, and as educated people. So it was huge in my kind of life, and me framing out, how I saw myself in the world, and how I wanted to be in the world. So I would say that was very
show. It was a great show. I really liked it when they did the music thing. Sometimes at the end when they play music and then mouth it. I'm thinking about what was the episode where the little girl, I can't remember what her name was.
Rudy.
But-
Rudy, yeah.
Yeah,
Rudy.
she
Or
screamed
Olivia.
out the words of one of the
Olivia.
songs, like "Baby!" Remember that episode?
Oh, yeah.
It was Rudy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Oh,
Rudy.
that was so great.
So
Yeah.
good.
It was so
Ah.
funny. It was just it was such a great show.
It was the
And
show
great
for a while there. Yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Great stories and yeah. And they shouldn't be discounted
No.
because of
No.
any
I know.
I agree.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Why is there
Yeah, no,
something
the
that
Cosby
happened
Show
with
was impactful.
Cosby?
Not at all.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I'll tell you later. We'll talk about it later.
Just real quick. I'm sure it's just like one or two things.
Just Google
Yeah.
it. Just Google it.
But no, it was a great show. It was impactful, and it showed, like I said, it showed a black family in a way that I think we'd never seen before.
Yep.
Because they were educated, they were professionals, they were raising their children in a positive way. So
Yep.
that was
They were
inspirational
cool.
for me. They were
Yeah.
cool. It was just a cool
Yep.
show.
Yep.
And of course, Cosby himself is one of the legendary comedians of all time, regardless of what you think about him. He has accomplished that in his life. But no, I also like the Knight Rider. I mean, as a younger,
Oh my gosh.
David
as
Hasselhoff.
a younger kid,
Yeah.
talking into the watch and Kit the car, and that my dad had a Trans Am, so I was
Okay.
I was Mr. Knight Rider.
What
Nice.
color was the Trans Am?
No, he didn't have a black one. He had a white Trans Am.
That's okay.
When he was going through his midlife crisis, he got himself a Trans Am. So
You
Yeah,
were
those
talking
films.
about remakes. You know that Quantum Leap's coming back.
Oh dear.
No.
They're all
Hearing
coming
that,
back.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
It's coming
Oh,
back
dear.
now.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like this is crazy anymore, right? It's like some shows do need to be left alone, I think. Even though they do come back, I just think there are ones that they take and they can ruin it. They can actually ruin it sometimes. So
Okay. We got to run, but let's knock this out too. What is one show that you think there's just no freaking way that they can remake it because there was something just too magical about that original that it's just impossible? I know.
I'll start.
Yep.
The show that they can't remake is A Man Called Hawk,
Yep.
Mhm. Yep.
and that's because you need a guy like Avery Brooks to pull it off, and I
Yeah.
haven't seen one on the market. I don't know if you guys have seen one, but I haven't seen an Avery Brooks on the market or anyone close to him. And recently, actually, Mark Wahlberg did like a Spencer for Hire movie or something. You guys hear about that?
Mm-mm.
And yeah, it was like basically Spencer for Hire, Mark Wahlberg style. And they got a guy to play Hawk in that
Mhm.
show. And needless to say, it was not memorable, and I don't even think it was a success. But so yeah, that's the show that I'm gonna go for.
What do you think, Melissa?
I'm gonna say the Golden Girls because
I don't
they
know.
it will not be nearly as good. It won't. There was just something about the chemistry of the four women in that show that there's no way to remake that. You can't duplicate that. That was they broke the mold.
You know, when I was a kid, I thought that B. Arthur's character was kind of like the weakest one, like the most, the one that I didn't really care for. But then upon rewatching it, like whatever it was a few months ago, I was like, she's actually possibly the
Magic of B.
funniest.
Arthur.
She's
She's
brilliant.
amazing.
I was like,
Amazing.
B. Arthur is giving an acting clinic, a comedy clinic right now. This is crazy. I was just too young and stupid. B. Arthur, I'm sorry.
Well, she plays the straight man, for lack of a better word,
Right.
Yeah.
impeccably. I mean, yeah, and Armin talked about that one time too. That's a difficult part to do, to be the abbot to the
Odo.
Costello,
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Homer, what do you think? Oh, by the way, Homer is the
yeah.
seventh rule straight man. Like, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think a show that they couldn't bring back, and I forget the exact question, but I'll just give you the name of the show, Sledgehammer.
Okay, I remember that one.
Yeah, I like those kinds of, like a police squad type of show, the things that had Leslie Nielsen in it. And this is similar to that. And I don't know, maybe that its era has passed. I forget the name of the actor who did it, but I
Was he
enjoyed the
blonde?
show. Yeah, he was blonde.
Yeah, there was Sledgehammer, there was Remington Steele, there was Hunter. There was like this whole like genre of like the dude, he always gets his man kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
but Sledgehammer had some humor built in, whereas Hunter, that was Fred Dreyer, I think it was, who played for the Rams, who's very much like a rrr type guy. And then Sledgehammer's its own thing.
All right.
David Rash was the Sledgehammer guy, right?
You also
David
played
Rash.
basketball with him, I'm sure.
No, I never did. No.
Blew him out.
How about Fred Dreyer? No.
Oh, the lead singer of Limp Bizkit, huh?
Yeah.
That's a Fred Durst.
That's
Anne
Fred
Marie?
Durst.
Yeah. What do you think, Anne Marie?
I'd say I Love Lucy
Me
because
too.
I mean, first of all, Lucille Ball's amazing, but also I think it'd be like so gross to have a show these days where it's okay to speak to the woman like that. So, that are like the honeymooners.
oh my gosh.
I feel like I Love Lucy
Yeah.
is definitely something they will try to reboot.
Well, there's like a movie coming out about the Ricardos with Nicole Kidman, but you can't.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Interesting. Rex, what do you think?
Well, I got a couple. One would be MASH. I don't think they could bring MASH back and do it correctly. Not with the people that were in that. There were just too many good people that just aren't around. The second one's going to be a comedy. I don't think they can do WKRP in Cincinnati again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just don't think they could. I think that they had such a good with Howard Hessman and everybody that was in that. I just don't think they could come back with a good one just like that. The storylines with the turkeys at Thanksgiving time. I mean, there's some classic things that happened in that show that I just don't think they could bring back. So those would be my two.
Great.
Those would be my.
What do you think, Sue?
I have two. These times you would think it would work, but I'm thinking of All in the Family. It was so groundbreaking at the time. And also, I really love Charmed. And I know they did reboot it. And I thought,
Yeah.
I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. And I know they didn't get along, right? The cast is that, maybe I'm wrong.
The original Charmed cast.
Yeah.
There was some,
There's a lot of friction.
Well, they're
I think
witches, right?
Alyssa Milano
Yeah.
did not get along.
There was
with-
something with Alyssa Milano,
Shannon
yeah.
Doherty.
Yeah, right. With
Yeah.
Shannon
Yeah.
and Holly Murray. Yeah. But All in the Family. I mean, we could use a show kind of like that, but it wouldn't be anything. I just don't see how they could do it.
All right, Tim, what do you think?
Well, Rex stole my MASH.
Oh,
Sorry.
that is such a good answer.
This is kind of a hybrid. The current Battlestar Galactica. They did the reboot in the 2000s, and they got it right. And it's like,
Yes.
leave it alone.
Yeah.
You did it perfect.
Yeah.
So that one should never be touched again.
Stick with the second one, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm. I just want to give an honorable mention to Three's Company because that's like the best show ever. But I do think that is one that they would consider rebooting. But I feel like because it's one of those things that has like a gimmick that they will want to reboot. Like instead of a dude and two women, it's a woman and two dudes, or there's going to be some. I feel like
Just
there's
reboot it the same way.
there's something in there. But I will say the one that there's no way they could reboot is Seinfeld, because it's not actually, and they made a joke about this, it's not actually a show about anything. There's nothing to reboot. You know, with Cheers, it's a bar. You know, with Deep Space Nine, it's a space station. You know, with MASH, it was a time and place. Although I think you're right that I don't think they could redo that one. But Seinfeld, it was just people. You can't, there's nothing to reboot there. I don't think it would work.
Well, I'm also going to add Only Murders in the Building because it's so good that there's no way anybody could ever change the cast.
That's with the two Martins, right? The new show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Martin Short and Martin. Yeah, they're funny fellas.
All right, well, we better run. Cirroc, did you give yours?
Yeah, The Price is Right. That's no way they can redo it.
Have your pet spayed or neutered.
I hear you're getting a call, Cirroc. Hang on. From The Price is Right.
Wait a minute. Is that you, Bob?
On Cirroc, I want you to come do Price is Right.
I've always
That's
wanted to hold one of those really skinny microphones that just have the little top on it.
Yeah.
The Bob Barker.
Yeah.
No,
you said
Spin that wheel.
A Man Called Hawk. All right, everybody. Everybody at home, thank you so much for joining us. Boy, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much to Tim Baum, #1 Liverpool fan, Admiral Rex A. Wood,
okay.
Homer Freezy, Melissa, Anne-Marie, Sue. Thank you all for joining us. Boy, season 6 is going to be wild. So hang on to your hats. And always remember the 7th.
All right.